Agenda item B, request to appear by Chad Madsen. I think that's we just entertain a motion.
I'll take a motion to accept his license.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, I do. I warned that sometimes people change. I let a couple things clarified, and we have the clerk here and we have a license. Can non-licensed personnel work with licensed personnel?
Yes.
Yes, they may, but with some very specific regulations. That person needs to be within sight and speaking distance to them at all times. That person that's with them has to have a valid license in a supervisory kind of capacity. And so the restrictions, yes, it can, but there are restrictions to it.
Okay, because Mr. Mattson, the boss, mentioned that he only worked Friday night, Saturday night when they needed 2 bartenders, so therefore he could always be working with another licensed bartender. He also has, it sounds like a full-time position with him as a landscape employee, so he has employment. We asked him about how experienced he was, or if he would have someone supervising him, and he said, well, no, he's my 6-year guy. He's probably the most experienced, so it sounded to me like he may be a supervisor of unlicensed, just an assumption on my part. And that the boss knew him well, trusted him with his keys to his house, his business and everything, but in the 6 years that he's worked for him, he was a felon in possession of a firearm, and I'm not sure the boss knew that particular detail. So I
would, if I can interrupt,
have reconsidered my position.
I would think he did, simply because if he's been there for 6 years, if I remember reading it correctly, it was year 5, or he was on a 5-year probation, and I believe this was in like year 2 or year 3. So those would have overlapped. So
But I mean, I'm not sure he knew he had a firearm, that he was a felon in possession of a firearm.
Oh,
If
sorry.
he did,
I
that may be a worse case, that may be a worse scenario.
I
So
misunderstood.
either way, if he did know, he should have told him to get rid of it. And if he didn't know, that lets me know that he doesn't know everything about this particular employee. So I am reconsidering my position on that.
Well, this is something I expressed last night, and what concerns me is that, it's one thing for a person to have a felony to come before us and want a liquor license with a felony. This wasn't a person with a felony coming before us to get a liquor license. This is a person with a felony that, while on probation from said felony, committed another felony with a firearm. And alcohol. When we open Pandora's box, we have to be careful of what we're opening up, and that's where my apprehension with this comes in. And like I said, I get it. I understand the struggles of finding employees. But there is a reason that we have these parameters that exist. And again, this was a felony that occurred while on probation from a felony, to the point where a court of law said that an assignment of 1 year in jail was a necessitation for the behavior.
So here's where I have a concern. For me, when we have the police chief say, the question to him was, are you comfortable with that situation? And he, he's our guy, said yes. So that makes it very difficult in a situation, because he, as the police chief, trusts him. So that opened the door for us to consider. So, I mean, and
Yeah, I
I
agree.
kind of think because we had that engagement with the police chief, that's where it ended,
I guess if I could ask Penny, where, from a legal standpoint,
Just have to be consistent in how you're doing this.
okay, that's,
I mean, that's,
You're aware of the
Yeah, your
situation?
reasons.
Okay.
So, yeah, you know what to say.
No, go ahead.
I'm gonna tell you, I know Mr. Manson and Mr. Driscoll personally, and I would myself trust Neil with mine. He used my house. I'm not saying he hasn't made a mistake, but he is a veteran in our military, and he is a very honest, hardworking man, so,
He's not drinking anymore, and if he would lose his probation and be back in jail, so we at least got that.
he's getting married now. You know, I think we all have low moments in our lives. I think he hit his low, and I think he's bouncing back really well.
And that was another issue, when we talked about if he does get into any trouble, we can always pull that life back. I think that's what
Immediately.
that's what Becky had kind of told us about. So there is, I mean, when we have police chief and an option to pull it if he gets in trouble, that is something that, we consider as giving it to him because of that. So that's kind of how I looked at it when I approved that.
I just said one thing, not defending, and I don't know the specifics, but unfortunately, I learned a little bit about felons and possessions of firearms in a different case. Possession does not mean you own it, it means you had access to it. I don't know if you had permission to have it or not, don't know whose it was, don't know who owned it, don't know who it was registered to. Not that it matters, but that does happen, because I learned that just recently. So what it means is when he goes down to make that decision, carry a firearm is under his control.
And this night all started because the gentleman on the other side of us hit a woman in front of him. I mean, he was sticking up for the lady on our streets downtown.
But I lean more towards he's doing, if the chief sees that he's actually performing or acting as a bartender, we would want them to act by calling him when there's problems, calling him when there's disturbances. If it was a felon that was asking for a license but never called the police and wasn't acting as a bartender with what the chief would like him to do, then I would be totally against it. But that's what I changed my mind as listening to the chief, and it sounds like he was making headway to made mistakes and he's moving in the right direction.
I just have a comment. I realize that, hey, people make mistakes. I also realize, on the other hand, I'm a very black and white thinker. Okay, we have it in the ordinance. All right, that's one, it should be denied. I understand that, I get it. On the other hand, like, people say he's a nice guy, deserves a second chance. Where I'm torn at is, again, you go back to the police chief, and he was in agreement of giving it to him. However, I will say this, that sheep coming, wolves holding. I'm just gonna leave that food for thought.
Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
No,
Motion carries. There are 2 nays and 5. You got the nays and the nays. Okay, moving on. We have a check presentation from the Historic Preservation Commission to the Park and Recs Department.
so, a lot of this, the reason why I wanted to give this to Park and Rec is because the group has, I don't know, we've came a long ways. We're changing things. I'm more of a catalyst, I have good ideas, I have good intentions, sometimes getting there is the next hurdle.
Details.
We tried. One of the things that I wish someone could have been here for this, and that would have been Wayne Kling, because this was Wayne's project from the word get-go. And I think that showing a good faith effort, I think that this presentation needs to go to Joe to show how much the group has actually done in appreciation to that. And so I would like you to open this, Joe, because you can, and then it shows the council of how much we've actually raised that you, oh, I guess, I don't know. But I want you to know, because I don't know if you've realized how much we've actually raised. $19,024.18.
Great.
And that is, and so I think that goes a long ways to show that we're committed, and I appreciate your help, and I appreciate everybody's help.
Well, thank you so much, Sean, and the rest of the historical
You show the
preservation
check, Joe,
committee,
You
and
might want to turn that around.
Attaboy,
we'll
thank you.
show the group,
All right.
Parks and Rec, not Joe, Parks and Rec, Tomah Parks and Rec, and we'll put this good use. We still got a lot of work to do at the Buckley Park
Yes.
cabin site for phase 2 with some patio parking and outdoor bathroom facility for that park. So this will be put towards that part of the project and finish up our restoration for the interior of that. So hopefully this summer, fall, or in the spring, you know, depending on how things line up for the second phase. Hopefully in the near future we'll get that project completed, and appreciate your help and the committee, and pass it on to the rest of the group there.
So just wait, because I have a vision coming.
Okay.
So you might be in for a run for your money.
Right, well, sounds good. Great to work with the group, so and thank the city council for supporting that project as well. I know that was quite the lengthy process to get that going and renovated, but thanks for everybody's support in the community, because that community, you know, gave back to this group, gives back to our group, so it all works together for future of that area in our park system. So thanks everybody. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
I want to see the printer that came out of it. Moving on to the reports, the mayor's report. First of all, I'd like to thank Director Protz for doing the Arbor Day down at Winnebago Park. I think it's a great day for the kids to be down there. I appreciate the invitation to come down. Lamont being down there, I mean, it's a great thing. You know, as we've discussed at different committee levels, you know, we think about planting these trees, but many, many years ago when there were so many trees in parks, you know, who would have ever known that a blight would come through and wipe out so many trees. So it's important that we keep refurbishing. You know, we're into the middle of May. We're past the middle of May already, and I was thinking about it today that, I hate to say it, but the summer is upon us, and a lot of things are going to be happening very quickly. There's a lot of organizations that are going to be looking for volunteers this summer. If there are those out there that are wanting to help out with different things happening in the community, I'm sure our chamber director, Mrs. Thompson, would appreciate any kind of help that might be coming from anybody. A lot of festivals, a lot of happenings. You know, we're again a month away from the Grand National Tractor Pull. Going to be a lot of people in town here in the next few months, and that just requires everybody to be on their toes. Anyway, with that, I will move on to Kirk, I think is on the line. Kirk, if you want to do the senior executive team report.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Just try to get some highlights from the group. Typically, each individual kind of touches on their different area of expertise, and a lot of these are covered in our individual reports, but we did help with interviews with Becky and for the assessors services, and as she had mentioned, we'll try to get a recommendation to you shortly on that. We did also move, I think, leaps and bounds, hopefully, with long-range planning committee. We made introductions with Vanderwall and Associates, and I think we just kind of are starting to rekindle some enthusiasm, along with maybe a little bit better direction, and really try to define the needs for that committee and what they can do to help facilitate a lot of different areas, especially economic development. As Chief mentioned last night, I did submit a grant application for our electric vehicle for the wastewater treatment plant, and he did the same for the police department, and we're still waiting to hear on that. And just, I guess in general, we still try to strive to continue improvements for communication between the council staff and residents. We are obviously doing our bi-weekly meetings with department heads and weekly meetings, if not more, with the set team. And one thing I did note on here, and it should not take second share to anything by any means, but public safety building, doing a lot of work there, trying to organize our staff as far as what we had committed to for the demolition, is there today, going over a few things, and just working on a secondary access for that site. So there's a lot to be done there, but we have plenty of time, and we just gotta try to keep the balls juggling, I guess, so to speak. And if you have any questions, take those.
It doesn't sound as though there are any, so we will move on to the public safety. Thank you, Kirk. Good evening, Chief.
Good evening, everyone. You have my written monthly reports. On the fire side, we're currently at full staffed. Business pretty much as usual. Ran 27 calls in the month of April. Once again, motor vehicle accidents seems to be the big ticket there. So be careful out there, drive safe. Currently advertising for firefighters to create an eligibility list for the next 12 months or so. We got some retirements that look like they're going to be coming up, so I just want to get that eligibility list created so I can pull from there in the event that this does happen. So if you haven't been by the ESB site, Gerkeys have been there performing their magic the last couple of days. So it's exciting to see that going on. Been continuing to be busy with the building project. We're now having weekly 1 o'clock meetings. So I did forward you the first batch. If you didn't get it, it's in your inbox, in your email. I will continue to do that. If you don't want that, let me know and I'll take you out of that. But otherwise, you're going to see those notes coming every week.
I have a question though.
Yes.
Have we gotten a hold of the school district regarding the school that's kind of where we're going to be doing that project? There's a lot of buses that come in that area, and I know there's going to be a lot of construction going on.
Been good so far. For buses.
Yeah, you mean just up and down the road itself? They shouldn't be in the road. The construction shouldn't be in the road. On the flip side, I mean, at some point, there's gonna be semis coming in there and things like that, so we can make them aware of that.
Yeah.
Locally, school's gonna be going out, but then again, Lemon Wire is year-round, so.
Yeah, they have summer school and
Yeah,
stuff like that.
good
I was
point.
just wondering
Yep,
on
I'll reach out to them and make them aware of that.
that. Okay,
Just in
thank
the
you.
event that they know what's going on. And I know the main bus route goes by there. I'm coming into town and usually around 7:50 every morning, and the buses are coming down Glendale, so it does get a little bit busy there at times, so.
We have bigger issue with bad drivers.
Bus drivers?
Yeah.
Question. All the dirt that Gerke's hauling away, is that going out to Badger 5 or is that going elsewhere?
Kurt, can you help me with that?
I actually was gonna ask that same question, Richard.
Yeah, that would be their dirt to do whatever they want to with it. So when you figure a bid like that, they're gonna anticipate from the soil borings, they know that there's an average of, say, 11 inches, 10 inches of black dirt on the site. So they're gonna have value in that. They're gonna haul off site, stockpile that, and they factor that into their bidding when this all comes into play. So if you were to actually see their bid, they would be crediting themselves money for that product. And it's just how the bidding process works. So that is their property to do with whatever they want. It's no longer ours. It's included in the dirt work package for that. And to your point, Nellie, I think we could put up some just construction ahead signage, probably like in the Arthur and the town line intersection, just to keep those up and forewarn people that are driving through there. But as Chief said, there should not be a lot of activity with the exception of when they tie into the utilities in the actual roadway.
Okay.
I would like to see that bid, because I think we should keep that dirt. We're gonna need it at the ball fields, we're gonna need topsoil. Why would we buy topsoil when we have it?
That's not possible at this point. That's a lump sum bid in the project, and we don't have access to it. As far as the ball fields, there will be plenty of black dirt out there that will be stripped in the same scenario, but in that case, that would be ours because it's just a different package out there, I guess, so to speak.
Well, I think we messed up then.
No, we can't. I guess I'm trying to, maybe I'm not expressing it the correct way, but if we were to take that black dirt and said we wanted it, that bid would have been approximately, I don't know, 3,000 yards of dirt that's probably there, and they would value that at $5, $6 a yard. So then that would have cost us that much more money. Hopefully that clarifies it.
Still my viewpoint, doesn't change.
Okay, again, if you have any questions about any of the meeting minutes or whatever, we'll try to get you the answers on that. Again, you're always welcome to attend the weekly meetings. It's at the Keller job site trailer out there at 1 o'clock. There are some safety requirements that I indicated on the email. You gotta have steel toe, hard hat, and safety glasses in order to be on the site. So that's rules to everybody, including all the vendors that are out there. So.
If anybody does want to go to avoid, if anybody does want to go, no problem, but we ought to make sure we know who's all going, because if there's a quorum, we would need to notice the meeting.
That's a good point.
Okay, so just, thank you.
That's why you're here.
Serve my purpose.
We continue to look for any valued engineering items on the project overall, because our goal is to, obviously make the best building that we can and keep it under the approved 13.5 million. So we're going to continue to do that through the project, and there's a few other items that are being talked about right now that we may be able to save some money on, and we'll continue to do that. So again, Kirk, thank you to you and your crew for all the work you guys have done out there. It was amazing to see how much just 6 hours did one day out there. I was kind of watching it, and it was like it was there, and 6 hours later it was gone. So they got a really good system done. The fire inspector's been out performing the first round of inspections throughout the businesses at Tomah, so we're working on that. Currently working on some grants for both the fire and EMS departments. As for EMS, we're currently fully staffed. Business is pretty much as usual. The one area we're struggling at is our billing department, and we'll be talking about that here a little bit later tonight. So the service has been very busy. It ran another 270 calls in April. Some days are just amazing. Yesterday we ran 15 calls. Today I think we're on 12 or 15 calls already as of when I came down here tonight. It's just, we used to average about 8.5 calls a day, and it's just continuing to get busier and busier. So Of course, we're struggling, we're continuing to monitor supplies, drugs, things like that. There's items that are very difficult to get a hold of, so we're trying to make sure that don't run ourselves into a situation, so we may be stockpiling a few things just to ensure that we got it, so we don't put ourselves in a bad situation. Of course, I don't have to tell all of you the cost of fuel these days. We're running close to almost $6,000 a month in fuel right now, just to keep the trucks running up and down the road and doing what we do every day. So not a whole lot we can do with that. So continue to operate right around that $60,000 mark in labor every month. So we're watching that. We're trying to watch the overtime.
That's 60,000 per payroll.
Per payroll, yeah, that's what I meant, yeah, 120. But we're under our budget and we'll continue to do that. Where were we last month? About 9, was it 9%? Or was it 11? Anyway, we were under budget, so we're continuing to watch that. We did have a rash of, and we continue to unfortunately have a rash of vehicle maintenance issues. You know, so all you can do is keep troubleshooting them as they pop up. Brake problems, tire problems, just, you know, not talking about the normal oil changes, but just odds and ends. We had ignition coils go out on a vehicle, so we had to get those replaced. And today I got told we got a couple of injectors out, so we're trying to get that lined up. We had catalytic converter that failed on us, and it's just like, you know, our idea is to try to run these things. It's a lot cheaper to maintain them than it is to go and just replace them, but we got to do the right thing too. That's why we got that 5th ambulance coming, so we can try to always have that spare in our fleet too, just in the event that we have these hiccups like this. So the new quick response vehicle is actually in service as of this afternoon, so excited to see that. I want to thank my deputy fire chief, Likely. He actually spent about quite a bit of the last 2 weeks wiring that thing with the lights, sirens, radio, all that stuff. He's got a background in all that, so in all reality, he probably saved the city or the department $5,000 to $6,000, I figured, just by doing that in-house. So nice having that resource that he can do that. And he does help other departments out with radio problems and things like that. So we're all in it together. We're all here to help each other. Also, the new used quick response vehicle that Deputy Chief Robarge has is in service, and he's actually responded emergently from home a few times already just in the last couple of weeks that he's had it, and was able to help a paramedic crew that was on a couple of critical incidences. So that's exactly why we did that. So dip into the other hat that I wear, emergency management. Just an update on the siren. Becky and Nicole addressed the insurance company, and it sounds like we're going to get $14,000 reimbursed towards the lightning strike on that, which is decent. So we're still working with Keller on a plan, hopefully to get that thing up on the new site. I'm not going to expect it to be up there right quick, but I'm hoping by sometime mid to late summer that thing will be up. So we'll do our best. So. On another note, I participated in an event workshop. Myself, Assistant Police Chief Pedersen, and Jared Tessman from Monroe County Emergency Management are working on a large gathering emergency operation plan, something that it's been in the works for a while that we've wanted to complete. Basically, we're going to start out with weather. We're talking large gatherings, tractor pull fair, national night out, large soccer tournaments, things like that, where we're here to protect the city, we're here to protect our people, and in the event somebody's got to make the decision that we get a lightning storm coming and we need to call the event, then this is the protocol and how we're going to follow it. And it will grow from there. The next thing will be fires, hazmat calls, medical emergencies, different things. So this is just one piece of this puzzle that we're working on, but we're going to get the weather thing done here before summer gets here, and then we'll continue to build this emergency operation plan as the time goes by here. So does anybody have any questions relating to fire, EMS, emergency management.
I have a question for you, Tim. On here, on the EMS side,
Yes.
Sean, is your microphone on?
oh, I'm sorry.
Is it?
On the EMS side, I see here you have the transfer request from Tri-State. And is there any way that we can capitalize more on those?
I'm not exactly sure where you're coming from with that, but we're taking out every transfer we can get out, believe me. When you look at these numbers, even just from like 2 years ago, obviously we want to take care of, we have to take care of our 911 calls, and we want to take care of our Tomah community, and that means Tomah Health, Tomah VA, Sparta, and then we try to go out and get anything additional if we have enough trucks on to be able to do that. I mean, we're running 93.59, almost 94% out of Tomah Health ER. That's really good, you know. So to be able to go out and get more yet, the only way we can do that is to put more crews on, and I don't think we want to do that at this point yet. So
Okay, and that was one of my questions.
yep. OB, we're running 96.55. The VA, we're running 90%. Critical care transports, which we just started here, 23 out of 25, so 92%. So again, we're taking baby steps, and it's no surprise after the building comes in and we get done next year, I will be, if we can financially make this happen, be looking at, if we put one more person on, we'll have 3 trucks on at all times. So right now we're at 2.5 trucks, except for during the day we got Adam on duty, so that makes that 3rd truck, but at night and the weekends and those things, we would have 3 trucks. Now, if you got somebody out sick or somebody on vacation, then that drops down that number. So, and we try to backfill with either part-time people or whatnot, but they're rolling. We're putting a lot of miles on.
But on that note, I do have to say in the last few weeks, you guys have done one heck of a good job keeping up with things.
Yeah,
So thank you.
It's been busy, and then the crews have seen some things that nobody wants to see over the last couple of weeks, and they've had some real nasty calls, and once again, we have a support system that we have people come in and talk to them and give them calls at home and check on them and make sure that they're okay, because they do see some bad stuff, so.
The other thing you have to keep in consideration on these requests from Tri-State is we get reimbursed for transporting the patient based on mileage and the type of transfer it is. If you start going like over to Hillsborough, you do a transfer from Hillsborough to La Crosse, we don't get paid for the mileage to go to Hillsborough, we don't get paid for the mileage coming back from La Crosse. So we only get paid for 30% of the mileage for that day.
Yeah.
So it becomes cost effective to turn down some of these calls because there's no profit in them.
And then on the other side, we can't pick and choose this stuff, but if it's Medicare, Medicaid rates, you're making $200, $300 on a run. We're burning that much fuel up, and then you're paying wages and your wear and tear on the trucks, and so those are some of the things that sometimes we gotta keep in the factor, but usually it's just making sure that we have the 911 truck in town. You know, like today we had 3 o'clock, we had 2 ambulances going to Madison, and our 3rd truck was in town. So if somebody calls and says, hey, can you take another transfer out of Tomah Health or VA, we can't do it because we're just maxed out. You know, it's that wicked world. Sometimes you're sitting there twiddling your thumbs and you wish you had something to do, and the next thing you know, you wish you had 3 more crews. So we do our best.
I just have one quick question too. Does semi-trucks have energy surcharges, everything, freight, everything, it's all based on the price of fuel? Do we have that? Like, is it possible to do that or think about it in the future?
We cannot itemize.
You can't itemize it.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't sure how it all worked.
Yeah, it's a great question. I wish we could, just because of the times, you know, but then what do you do? I mean, you'd be itemizing everything too, because drugs, some of them have doubled in cost, you know. And unfortunately, we all pay for it. We've talked about this before, and then we also protect the uninsured, which is way more often than a person thinks. You know, we're hauling people to the hospital, sticking thousands of dollars of drugs in them and hauling them to La Crosse, and they don't have a nickel to them or whatever, and we all as residents of the area pay for that, so. Any other questions?
Thanks, Tim. Thanks. Okay, we will move on to the library. Good evening, Ms. Emma.
Book of the week.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. April ebook checkouts, 1,827. Physical checkouts, 4,153, bringing us to a total of 5,970 checkouts for April. Doing pretty good there. Summer is coming, and with summer comes the summer reading program. You know, we're excited. So we have a lot going on in our children's department for summer reading. On Monday nights, we will have story time at the library at 5:30. We will also have another story time at 6:30 at Fireman's Park. So Mr. Dave will read stories. Anybody can come to those. Tuesday morning, story time again, 10 o'clock at the library, 11 a.m. at Fireman's Park. Same thing as Monday night. Tuesdays, we're trying something new. On the front lawn of the library, we will have Magic Tree House Book Club. So you bring your lunch and you listen to Mr. Dave read from the Magic Tree House series, wondering how many books they can get through this summer. It's for kids who are entering second grade. You can come if you are younger than that. However, if kids under 7 have to bring an adult. Tuesdays, chess club. This is a new thing for us. It's a chess club for kids. All skill levels are invited. We will provide the boards. Wednesday, early reader book club, 3:30 at the library. Mr. Dave will read from Elephant and Piggy. If you are under 7, you have to bring an adult. Wednesday, baby time, 10 a.m. at Fireman's Park. That is for children up to 18 months. All ages are welcome. Storytelling, movement, socializing, rhymes, and much more. Thursday, virtual programming. So if you are not ready to come back to the library, we will have virtual programming, 10 o'clock or by appointment. We will also have the Magic Tree House Book Club, 12 p.m. or by appointment. Give us a call. We're going to have logos at the library. Call us and we'll let you know when that's taking place. We have lots and lots of Legos, all sorts of Legos. Come hang out. We're going to have a tween book club, so that's for grades 6 to 9. You sign up downstairs in the young adult department. We're going to give you a book. You get to keep it. Same thing for teens, a book club for them for grades 9 and up. Sign up at downstairs. We give you a book. You get to keep it. You guys were all wondering, where was this when you were younger, right? Talk to me later, I can get you a book. Okay, we are encouraging teachers, educators, daycare providers to schedule summer visits. Give us a call, talk to Mr. Dave, we will get you visits. Bring your group. When you come to the library, make sure and pick up a summer reading log. That starts June the 13th. So the more kids read, they get better with their vocabulary and their comprehension. So you want to make sure you're doing that. Give us a call for more details. We have stuff going on in the adult department also. Movie night is back. We are so excited. Yeah. This Thursday, we're going to show the new James Bond movie, No Time to Die. On June the 2nd, we're going to have Death on the Nile. June 16th, we're going to let our patrons choose. So I don't know what we're going to have then.
What time?
Okay, so we have the movies at 5:30.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I hadn't said that yet. We provide water, comfy chairs, a huge screen that comes down from the ceiling. We have Bose surround sound, and popcorn. You're all invited. All of you, you're all invited. We show the movies downstairs. It is great. I'm still thinking about the last movie, which we had Dune. It was amazing, amazing. Okay, so our summer reading program, we will have a summer reading program, and ours starts June the 1st. And what you do for the adult reading program is you're going to play bingo. We'll give you a bingo sheet. And there's different ways to fill in a square. You can read outside. You can read a book from our Wisconsin collection. You can read a book, one of your old childhood favorites. You can read a book that's recommended by someone. You can read a magazine you've never read before. There are very many ways to get bingos, and we give you prizes accordingly. Again, does anybody actually need a prize for reading? Isn't reading the prize? Isn't reading the prize? I see you over there. Okay, so that's June 1st, so come on down. New books at the library, Against All Odds, and that's a story about World War II. It tells the story of 4 of the most decorated soldiers in World War II. That's new. Another book, The New Rules of Aging Well. It's your lifestyle choices, not your genes, that will have an impact on how you age. With this book, you're going to learn how to make the best choices in order to look younger and feel better. If any of you read that and do these things, please let me know. It really works. We also have a new autobiography of Jackie Robinson. And finally, The Comfort Book. It's a small book for anyone in search of hope and looking for a path to a more meaningful life. We've got everything. If we don't have it, we know where to find it. Does anybody have any questions, any quips, clever comments?
You got great
Bueller?
books.
Bueller?
You got some great books out
We
there.
do. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Good night then.
Thank you.
Thanks, Irma.
You're welcome.
Okay, moving on to senior and disabled services. Good evening, Pamela.
Hi. Good evening, everyone. Did you get my, oh yes, pink booklet this month. When I put those together, I look up, just for fun and for also people can talk about it, different things that happen on different days, like national or international or global days or whatever. In this week is National Police Week, National EMS Week, and National Public Works Week. So that's the majority of the employees for the city. Let them know you appreciate them. The senior center and our seniors and myself really do appreciate those services. The senior center meal site will be closed Monday, May 30th, Memorial Day, just to let the public know. The ADR dementia care specialist was supposed to come last week and rescheduled, so it's not in your calendars, but they rescheduled for tomorrow. So they'll be there tomorrow if people want to talk to the dementia specialist. That's the third Wednesday. We just had last week Take the Mystery Out of Medicare by Alice Ackerman, the ADRC benefit specialist, elder benefit specialist, and it was very informative. We had a good crowd there, and with these Medicare programs that Alice has there, a lot of people come in that don't normally come into the senior center. In this case, there were a lot of people that are just going to turn 62 or 65, whatever it is. They're looking into Medicare now, 65. And they're just gonna be looking into that. Or they're gonna retire and they're looking into those things. So it was very good. Our International Bibles, the BSF, that meets on Thursday nights, they were done this last Thursday for the summer. They take the summers off. And New PALS course that I teach has started. This was the second week. I am looking for people who are interested in stand up and move more. It's not an exercise course. It's a 4-week session to change our own behaviors on sitting so much, because sitting a lot can create a lot of health problems. And you can be a runner and run once a day and then sit the rest of the day, and you still are in need of more standing. It doesn't negate the sitting. And so I have that course that I can teach, but I need a class of 6 to 12 people to do that. Dementia Friendly Coalition, I'm involved in that. And they are having, on May 21st, that's this Saturday, 8 to 12, at the Sparta Farmers Market stage, we'll be doing a program for people to be more aware of dementia and things that we need to know about that. Usage numbers. In April, in March it was 1,370 for 24 days, 1 Sunday, 5 evenings. And then April it was 1,340 plus, and that was 21 and a half days because Good Friday was in there. And 1 Sunday and 9 evenings. And then in March it was and April it was 138 volunteer things, participate. The not so good news is that the contract that came before you for 1004 Superior Avenue is not going to go through. They needed to have whatever entity comes in and approves or inspects the day camp inspection. It isn't going to happen for this summer. So, that the contracts are not going to be signed.
So you're still looking for a tenant?
So that's exactly it. Instead of waiting till September for another tenant, now we're looking for a renter anytime now. So that's what that means. You are correct. Working on, like the other department heads, working on the grants for Andres and Earl. And yesterday I just had the opportunity, education opportunity. It was a Zoom meeting, so I didn't have to leave the senior center. And it was National Council on Aging's annual Older Adult Mental Health Awareness Day Symposium. And I did it last year, and I attended last year online and this year. And this year's focal points were, and this is for older adults, about older adults. It was substance abuse and misuse, and navigating the mental health service systems, or lack of. And Medicare doesn't always pay for those, so that was in there. And social isolation was a biggie, and depression and suicide were biggies this year for focusing on. So it was very interesting. Those are all, for all social isolation, depression, and suicide, and the substance abuse are all a crisis in the United States for all ages, but it is for seniors also. So it was very interesting. I'm still digesting a lot of it from yesterday. Any questions? Come on down and check us out. And join in some of the activities. Thank you.
Thanks, Pam.
Thank you.
Okay. The planning and building inspection report is in your packet. If you have any questions, I I think Kirk would be willing to answer any of them. If not, we will move on to Christina with the Chamber Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Hello, thank you. We had a very successful headshot event. I know there were several people that got pictures taken. Haven't heard anything negative, have had really great reviews from everyone. So grateful to be able to put that on again and work with Pichette Photography to update a lot of those headshots for people. I've been very busy with our career and job fair. Registration ended for that yesterday, which means about a third of the people wanted to sign up today. So that kind of occupied quite a bit of our day. That'll take place at the Tomah High School on Friday, beginning at noon and going until 5. It opens up to the public at 3:30 if anyone's wanting to meet with potential employers from around the greater area. We have about 60 people or 60 businesses registered, and a small percentage of those are actually local, which is very unusual, not how it's been done in the past. So that was a bit of a surprise for us. So as we're all facing workforce issues, we're seeing a lot of our neighboring communities are as well, because they're really stepping out on their footprint to try and get to these job fairs. So a little bit of a learning opportunity for us. We're probably by the end of this month working with Magnum Net Media to start some radio promotions through the summer and fall months, just trying to keep the public aware of events going on in the area, different things in the community. I was able to attend a downtown development conference last week that was very good. A large emphasis in the realm of tourism focusing on public art. So we'll be looking kind of as an organization what we can do to support more of that. That being said, our mural is approved and ready to go. Now we're just waiting on the artist to clear his schedule so that he can start painting that. It looks like mid-June is when that will start. One last thing of note, we've had our fire alarm system sounds like there's been and I'm not educated on any of this, so bear with me, some kind of fault in our grounding. So we were finally able to kind of track down a service provider that can help us figure out where that ground fault is. They'll be doing a walkthrough Thursday, I believe, trying to determine where that is, but we'll have to do some kind of repair. We intermittently have a alarm on it that keeps going off, and we need to get it repaired. So not exactly sure what that looks like. We may have to break into some drywall and some other things to figure out where that fault lies. I have been communicating that with the SET team, and will continue to do so as things progress. Any questions for me on anything? Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. Okay, moving on to the consent agenda, I would entertain a motion regarding the April 30th, 2022 cash and investments report, renewal of Class B liquor and Class B fermented malt beverage licenses, Class B fermented malt beverage license, Class C wine beverage license, special beer permit application for the Monroe County Tavern League, January 13th through 15th, 2023. The special beer and wine application for North American Squirrel Association, July 9th, 2022. The approval of minutes from April 19th, 2022, and the approval of minutes from April 25th, 2022.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion from Zabinski, second from Yerington. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to the committee of the whole, I would entertain a motion regarding the Tomah Police Department request for recruiting and retaining bonus structure.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion from Pater and a second from Zabinski. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Would entertain a motion regarding the potential purchase of the ladder truck.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I would entertain a motion regarding the resolution authorizing payment of monthly bills.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I would entertain a motion for the first reading of the ordinance amendment allowing the issuance of stop work orders from the City of Tomah building and fire inspectors.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have
waiving the first verbatim reading.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Entertain a motion waiving the second verbatim reading for the ordinance amendment allowing the issuance of stop work orders from the city of Tomah, the building fire inspectors.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Approved? Motion carried, or opposed? Motion carries. I would entertain a motion for the adoption of the ordinance amendment allowing the issuance of stop work orders from the city of Tomah building and fire inspectors.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I would entertain a motion for the resolution for the approval of roadway function classification change.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I would entertain a motion to waive the first verbatim reading of the ordinance amending section 38-35 of the City of Tomah Municipal Code.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I would entertain a motion regarding the second verbatim, waiving the second verbatim reading for the ordinance amending section 38-35 of the City of Tomah Municipal Code.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I would entertain a motion regarding the adoption of the ordinance amending section 38-35 of the City of Tomah Municipal Code.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I would entertain a motion for the waiving of the first verbatim reading of the zoning ordinance amendment allowing for planning commission review of commercial industrial site plans.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I would entertain a motion regarding the waiving of the second verbatim reading for the zoning ordinance amendment allowing for planning commission review of commercial and industrial site plans.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I would entertain a motion for the adoption of the zoning ordinance amendment allowing for plan commission review of commercial industrial site plans.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I would entertain a motion to waive the first verbatim reading of the zoning ordinance amendment allowing for butcher shops as permitted use in the B business district.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I would entertain a motion for the waiving of the second verbatim reading for the zoning ordinance amendment allowing for butcher shops as permitted use in the B business district.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I would entertain a motion for the adoption of the zoning ordinance amendment allowing for butcher shops as permitted use in the B business district.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Under the ambulance commission, I would entertain a motion regarding the resolution authorizing change to the 2022 City of Tomah position count.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
It was attached.
There's a job description attached, and can we approve that for the position, or do I have to approve it?
I'm just kidding.
It's like, look. It was attached to it, so it was part of your, part of the agenda, right? Okay. And adding the, okay, solution. Okay. So it was within the agenda, just not, okay.
Are you talking about the job description itself?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we've had a job description. We just changed the language in there relating to the public safety director versus the old language.
Which was the city administrator.
What?
You replaced city administrator with public safety director as far as supervisor.
You good?
So with that, yeah, well, with that change, that's what I'm saying. So why don't you approve the resolution first, or, yeah,
No,
or
we
the job
amend it.
description first? Either way.
So we need to do two separate.
Right.
Okay, so we have a motion.
Bear with me, does the resolution have in it that you're changing the job description or no? It's just part of the, where's the resolution? I apologize. I don't mean to be in your
Yes,
space. Where is the, that's the job description.
Right there.
Sorry, could you say that again?
It's right there. I said it again.
This isn't the,
This should come.
no, that's not the actual resolution.
Do you want a copy of it?
It's on page 120.
What's on it? Hang on, sorry, I was just trying to get to the resolution. Yeah, I would do that, because the resolution doesn't incorporate the job description. So just approve the resolution first, and we'll go back and we'll approve the job description, okay? So it was within the agenda.
We have a
item, so
motion,
that's
we
why I
have a
don't
motion and a
have it.
second.
Yeah.
So any further discussion on the resolution?
So I have a question. So on this, it's for the bookkeeper, am I correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. I'm just throwing this out there. Is there any way, or is that something that you tend to seek to fill within? Or is that, are you accepting applications?
We're gonna
out?
accept applications, yes. I'm not saying it could get filled within, but,
Okay. Because I guess I was just wondering, you know, like if you had, or like a while ago, how we did those JDQs? If that was possible, like if anybody had like a certain set of skills or something that maybe we haven't tapped into, or,
well, whoever's gonna go into this position's gonna have to take quite a few coursework things just for med coding and things like that, so, likely for somebody, are you talking internally within, in the
Yeah,
ambulance
for-
department itself?
yeah, if you have anybody
So,
experienced.
well, I'm gonna tell you that, like, a full-time medic isn't going to leave a, you know, a $50,000-$60,000 job to take a $40,000 job, you know what I mean? So, not saying that they couldn't, but, we'll advertise it and then we'll just go from there, do the interview process.
When is this, after approval, it's gonna go out for, referrals, right after we
Yep.
approve this?
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
How long is it gonna go out on those?
Until we can get an adequate pool to interview from.
Okay.
Becky has a little bit more hope than I do, just because I guess she's in the clerical end of things and has seen a good response. In the back of my mind, I got the rest of the EMS department in my mind, and those positions are hard to fill, so I'm hoping I'm wrong and we can. I mean, a little history behind this is, you know, we have one person that's basically taking care of this whole responsibility, Christy Anderson, and our workload has increased immensely just over the last couple of years. It continues to grow, and she did a fantastic job getting the VA caught up, as you all know. Now we have the potential of getting somebody in there. It's going to take a process to get somebody trained here, probably a good 6 to 8 months to have them somewhat